Baruch Hashem. Someone's happy to that. Baruch Hashem. Just what? Yeah. I'm starting class now, so I can't really talk much. But going away. What's the Shabbos at 4 a.m. and I'm going to be at the airport, and then I'll be gone for 10 days till I'll be back on March the 2nd. Mr. Shem. Okay? See you. Positive. Bye-bye. Okay, so we're on 198. Oh, sorry, 199. So it's another story today, and no, we did that story also. Sorry, we're on 200. Okay, so middle of the page, the small paragraph, Atem Yudim Chaverim Yikarim, you know my precious friends. B'Yom Kippurim, see it? Yeah. B'Yom Kippurim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sofer et ha'avonot v'et ha'mitzvot shelanu. Yom Kippur, God counts our transgressions and our mitzvot. Ze iska yeshara. This is straight business accounting. אבל לא בפורים. Purim is not like that. כשמישהו שולח לי תפוח ועוגה, when someone sends me an apple and a piece of cake, ואני סופר אותם מיליון פעם, and I count them 1,000,000 times, אז קיבלתי את זה מיליון פעמים, קיבלתי משהו אין סופי. So I've received it 1,000,000 times. I've received something infinite. So that was following this story with the worker. In other words, Purim were beyond measure, beyond proportion. It's just another way of saying what he's been emphasizing, that Purim is beyond proportion. Right? Now, by the way, just sorry for the interruption, but before you leave today, could everybody please give your cell phone number, because so that he's going to send out a reminder the day before I come back. So, and also the phone numbers of those who are not here today. If you have Marissa's phone number and Ashley's and whoever usually comes, okay? So he says, "Haim yesh mashu yoter matuk v'gavoa מאשר לאהוב אחד את השני. Is there anything more, anything sweeter or higher than loving another person? ביום הכיפורים אנחנו טובלים במקווה של כפרה. Yom Kippur we dip in the mikveh of atonement, forgiveness, the mikveh shel kabbalat haTorah mishamayim, and the mikveh of receiving the Torah from heaven. ובפורים אנחנו טובלים במקווה של משלוח מנות ומתנות לאביונים. And in Purim we're dipping into the mikveh of sending gifts of food to each other and gifts to the poor. זהו המקווה הכי עמוק, this is the deepest mikveh. הוא נוגע עמוק בפנים, it touches us deeply inside our being. I'll explain this in a minute. I'll try to anyway. כתוב בפסוק, it says in the verse, מקווה ישראל Hashem, that the mikveh of the Jewish people is God. והרב הגאון מרוגצ'וב זצ"ל, and the Rogatchover, the great Gaon, explained, הסביר את הפסוק כך, he explained the verse in the following way. גם הריבונו של עולם טובל, God also dips in the mikveh. And which mikveh does he dip in? הוא טובל במקווה של עם ישראל. He dips in the mikveh of the people of Israel. תארו לעצמכם, imagine that. גוואלד, it's awesome. במקווה של הלב שלי, God is dipping in the mikveh that's in my heart. באהבה האינסופית, in the infinite love שהקדוש ברוך הוא נתן ונותן לי, that God is giving me. הקדוש ברוך הוא טבל במקווה של כל יהודי. God is dipping in the mikveh of every Jew, וגם אנחנו טובלים כל אחד בלב של השני. And we too are dipping in the hearts of each other. Right? This is a truly amazing thing. You understand, what's the whole thing about a mikveh? Now the word mikveh is related to the word tikva. What does tikva mean? Hope, right? What happens when you go into a mikveh, right? You're going underwater, and you're going into a place where you can't live, right? And when you come out from the water, it's like you're taking another breath of air. It's sort of, in a certain sense, like being born again. Okay, that's where the Goyim take the born again term from. That's where they take it from. Okay? They didn't make it up. They took it from us. Okay, that's the thing about mikveh. So now he says that Yom Kippur, when you go into a mikveh, Yom Kippur, when you go into a mikveh, what are you doing? You're going into a mikveh of atonement, of being forgiven. And that means it's like you want a fresh start, you want to wash off the things that you need to wash off yourself. You want to be cleansed of it all, and that's, the Torah speaks about that, right? B'taval b'mayim b'taher, you go and you dip in the water, and you're now tahor again. Now he says an amazing thing. He says, Yom and that on Purim we're also going into a mikveh. Which mikveh are we going into? We're going into the mikveh of Mishloach Manot and matanot levyonim. So we're going into the mikveh of the gifts that we send each other and the gifts we give to the poor, meaning to say that we're going into the mikveh of our love for each other. Okay. One Friday night back in Montreal, I used to daven at this little Hasidic shtibel, of December Rabbi. And Rabbi Yolis, who passed away about a year ago, Olav Shalom, he comes up to me quietly before we began davening on Friday night. And he says to me, I didn't get to go to the mikveh today. You're on today. It's Baruch Hashem. I'm waiting for you. And he says to me, I didn't get to go to the mikveh today. And so I'm going to, hi. So I'm going to do a mikveh now, right here in the shul. But he wanted me to know what he's doing. He didn't tell anybody else. And he told me that there's a teaching from the Line of the Melech, that if you can't make it to the mikveh, if you can get 10 guys around, like we're talking about men right now, and just in their midst, dip and come up and dip and come up. Okay? That doesn't work for women. Okay. In other words, it's not the same thing as mikveh. Okay. And so obviously, we're talking conceptually over here, right? So what does it mean you're dipping in the midst of the people? It basically means that you realize that it's through the community, through the love in the community around you, you are being cleansed and refreshed and revivified. Okay? For example, sometimes some people are like in a real rotten, lousy space, right? And then you see someone that you love, and you feel like your energy is being restored, right? I'm sure that everybody's had that experience. Like you see someone that you love, and they give you a smile or whatever, and you just feel, okay, I'm going to continue. I'm going to go again. I'm going to keep on. I'm going to keep on trying. Okay. And that's the concept of the mikveh, right? In other words, yeah, I messed up yesterday, but I'm not going to give up. I'm going to start again, right? Remember yesterday we played that piece from Reb Shlomo that the whole thing about Purim is starting again. So now he's explaining, okay, what's giving you that energy to start again? It's the mikveh of all the love that is being shared on Purim through the mitzvah of Mishloach Manot and Matanot Levyonim. Right? It's all about this. You see, the Gemara says, the first Mishnah in Masechet Megillah, Purim is celebrated on the 14th of Adar. In cities that have a wall about it, like Yerushalayim, on the 15th. But the Mishnah says that you could actually read the Megillah when necessary, in certain cases, on the 11th of Adar, on the 12th, on the 13th, and also the 14th and the 15th. The Gemara goes into proving or providing the basis, the scriptural basis, as to why the rabbis added another 2 days. Because in the Megillah, it only mentions 2 days. It mentions the 14th and the 15th of Adar, right? Shushan Purim. So it brings a scriptural reference to show that there's reason. It's reasonable to add another 2 days, and therefore they added the 11th and the 12th. But wait a minute, they also said the 13th. So in other words, they're using the scriptural reference to add the 11th and the 12th. So what about the 13th of Adar? And the Gemara explains that the 13th of Adar doesn't need a scriptural reference to teach you that you can read the Megillah on that day. Why not? The Gemara calls that day Zman Kehillah Lakol. the day that all the Jews got together. The date that the lottery, that Haman's lottery that he cast, the date that they were planning to execute all the Jews was on the 13th of Adar. Okay? What happened on the 13th of Adar is that all the Jews, okay, it's Judy. What happened on the 13th of Adar, that all the Jews went out into the street. Nobody was hiding. And we all went out there with the message, you touch one of us, we're gonna go after you. And there was actually a war that day. You know, there was a serious war. If you read the Megillah, we did away with 75,000 Nazis, Haman Nazis. Okay, and so what makes the day so special? Not the outcome of what we did, but the fact that nobody. Move a bit to your left side of the room. Here. What makes the day so special is that no one thought, I'm going to just protect myself. I'm going to hide and I'll protect myself. Everybody said, you touch this guy, it's like you're touching me. Okay? That's man kihila lakol. Okay? So there's the concept, right, of how our salvation, a big part of our salvation was coming through the fact that we really were united, that we were totally united. Okay? That's the, and I'm bringing this in to explain the idea that mikveh, the mikveh of the love that's between us, right? That's a big mikveh, the mikveh of mishloach manot. It's purifying, it's energizing, it's okay. So, now we're talking about something that's not a biblical mitzvah here. Now we're talking about like there's certain things that you have to understand that even though it's not something explicitly written, it's something so deep that is tremendously powerful. It's just like what we learned yesterday, that the name of God, any name of God, is like a code as to telling us how Hashem is relating to us in this particular moment. But the name does not convey the beyondness, does not convey Hashem in a way that is beyond the name. And Reb Shlomo said, this is one of the explanations that Hashem's name does not appear in the Megillah, right? Because the relationship that was happening between us and God was ad lo yada, was beyond knowledge, right? Dipping in the mikveh of love between each other is ad lo yada. You understand? Is something even more amazing. Okay. So, if anybody, by the way, just for a second, they had a request today that we should dedicate the learning to Rachamim ben Giti Rochel, and at the same time we're dedicating it to Moshe David ben Gikel, and Yochanan ben Sarah, and Sephora Chaya ben Sarah, and anybody else that you want to have in mind. Okay, they should all have a refuah shalema. Okay, you okay, Shaya?
Allergies.
Okay. Good. I thought you were in the mikveh. Okay. Take a drink, you'll feel better.
I just ran out of the meeting.
that you were allergic to. Okay.
No. Helping someone I know.
Okay, Shan, yeah.
Say that.
So he says that, you understand, and so the amazing thing of what the Rebbe Shlomo is saying is that Hashem, so to speak, also goes to the mikveh. What's that doing to your rational brain?
Sounds good.
Right? Now, it says in the Talmud that all the mitzvot that Hashem gave us, he also keeps. Like, for example, it says in our tefillin, it says, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. What does it say in God's tefillin? Umi kamcha Yisrael, loy echad ba'aretz. So, we have a mitzvah of mikveh. Hashem also goes to the mikveh. But which mikveh does God go to? So he goes to the mikveh in the heart of every Jew. That means every time that you think about God and you say, God, I'm not giving up on you, it's like Hashem is being refreshed, so to speak, in this world. So to speak. Okay? Keep those words in mind. Okay? In Hebrew, the word is kaviyachol, as if we could say that.
When I go to the mikveh, is God born again?
Refreshed. say refreshed. Yeah. Okay. Amen. So we're at the second last line on the page, on page 200. When you dip in the mikveh, you have to go all the way under the water, in other words, to be completely covered, so that we don't see anything. So also when I'm giving you a piece of apple and a piece of cake, I don't give it to you face to face, but rather through a messenger. And by that, I'm telling you, allow me to go into the mikveh of your heart. This is something very deep. In other words, I want to go into that mikveh of your heart without evaluating you, without measuring you, but rather beyond proportion. Okay?
Beyond what?
Beyond proportion. Okay? Everybody knows that new teachings are coming down every Purim, coming down from heaven. Ein Sofiyut Chadasha. It's like new, infinite new Torah. Particularly now, we need many many heavenly miracles. I don't know what year he was giving this teaching. But the most infinite thing is time. Kol shniya hi ein sofit. Every second is infinite. Do you know about that? Do you know what a nanosecond is? How much is a nanosecond?
A million.
A millionth of a second. And a picosecond?
What?
Picosecond?
Billion?
A billionth of a second. Or a trillion, I'm not sure which one, billionth or trillionth. Can you imagine that a second could be divided into a trillion parts?
Infinite parts.
It's infinite. It's mamish like science is showing us in the infinity within the finite. Right? I remember it was 1972, I think it was Olympics, and they had like new equipment for the races, and somebody won like this gold medal by beating the other guy by 1/10, either by 1,000th or by 1/10,000th of a second. Can you imagine? I would go and smash the clock. You know, but imagine for your bar mitzvah, somebody would give you a gift certificate to a million nanoseconds on a mainframe computer.
What's that worth?
It's worth a lot of money. You pay for it. Okay? And you'd say, what? What kind of gift is that, right? But you didn't back then, like, I mean, people weren't even able to imagine, like, what? You can divide a second into a million parts, like it's totally absurd, right? A trillion, a million, a billion parts? I mean, with math, they can already do it. So what's the point? The point is that time is infinite. And that doesn't mean that time, kol shniya hi ein sofit. Every second is infinite. Kol tapuach shekibalti ei pam hu ein sofi. Every apple that I ever received is infinite. Kol neshika shekibalti hi ein sofit. Every kiss that I received is infinite. Lanetzach, eternally. Yesh anashim sheosim mashu rak loto rega. There are people that do something only for that moment. Zeh masha Amalek amar. That's Amalek's message. Kol davar shetaseh yeh rak lerega. Amalek says, whatever you do, it's only temporary. Lachar chamish dakot. Ata tishkach mizeh. Ata tishkach et zeh. In 5 minutes, you're going to forget it. Aval Purim hu lanetzach. The Purim is actually eternal. Taru lasmachem imani omer. Imagine if I say, Hinei kach tapuach v'uga aval zeh lanetzach. If I say, here, take this apple and piece of cake, but it's eternal, when anashika zot hi l'tamid, and yohev otcha aval lanetzach, I love you eternally. Think about that. Okay.
I think this is something that's easier to understand for older people than for younger people.
I don't know.
So.
I don't know.
I appreciate time more that I have less left.
Okay, Beseder. That doesn't mean that it's easier for you to understand it. She didn't agree. She's younger.
Anyone who's been in love can understand.
Okay, but don't.
Also,
Okay.
Only
But-
those people.
Only?
But only those people and no one else.
cool. There's different ways. but
Anyway,
that's
okay, let's get back to this, okay?
You can say that, Shai, I've been here about 8 years, and I interact, and very often the younger ones will either agree with me or say what they are feeling and experiences, and we're on the same page. I don't think it matters what age you are, either younger or older. It depends on what page you're on.
What space you're in, what page you're on, yeah.
Okay,
If it's
something for that.
infinite, wouldn't we all simultaneously be old and young at the same time anyway?
That's true.
Yeah, Ben is the philosopher.
I agree with everything you said.
עוד דבר מאוד חשוב, another thing that is really important, חברים יקרים, my precious friends, we're in the middle of the page. אנא תשלחו משלוח מנות, please send משלוח מנות, אבל לא רק לשכנים ולזרים, not only to your neighbors or to strangers, אלא תיתנו גם לנשותיכם ולילדים שלכם. Also make sure that you send to your wives, to your husbands, and to your children. אתם יודעים איזה יופי זה כשילד שולח להורים שלו משלוח מנות. You know how beautiful it is when a child sends משלוח מנות to his parents. אני מברך אתכם שהפורים הזה יהיה נקודת מפנה בחיים שלכם. I bless you that this Purim should be a turning point in your life. אתם יודעים, יהודי של עץ הדעת הוא קצת יהודי. C'est que Julie said.
Yep.
A Jew of... Hello. Welcome. Here, you see you're going to send your book over? Okay. So, we're on page 201. Okay. Yolet is happy, Baruch Hashem, she has a home. Baruch Hashem.
This is my mom.
Shalom Aleichem. Baruch Hashem, how are you?
Are you her mother?
Yes, I am.
Thought you were a sister.
That is your sister. Oh, you look younger now.
Thank you. She's my baby.
Welcome to Israel.
Thank you.
So he says, we're at the bottom of 201, last paragraph again. אני מברך אתכם שהפורים הזה יהיה נקודת מפנה בחיים שלכם. I'm blessing you that this Purim should be a turning point in your life. אתם יודעים, you know, יהודי של עץ הדעת הוא קצת יהודי, a Jew that's Jewish on the level of עץ הדעת, right? In other words, tell me, you got to do this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad, but doesn't connect this to beyond, right? So, הוא קצת יהודי, אבל חסר בו משהו. He's a Jew, but something's missing. לפעמים אנחנו אוהבים אחד את השני, sometimes we love one another, אבל רק פנים אל פנים, just face to face, when I see you, right? משלוח מנות, זה לא פנים אל פנים. When we send משלוח מנות, when we send the gifts of food to each other, we don't send it face to face. כי כשאני אוהב אותך, אהבה אין סופית, because when I love you infinitely, זה לא משנה אם אתה שולח לי את זה בפניי או לא. It doesn't make a difference if you're sending it to me in front of my face or not. יהודים שאינם אין סופיים, Jews who are not, it's okay, don't relax. It's okay. יהודים שאינם אין סופיים, Jews who are not infinite, אינם תמיד חושבים לעצמם, they're always thinking, האם הקדוש ברוך הוא מסתכל עליי עכשיו? Is God looking at me now? I don't know if you realize it, but that was like a heavy line. Right?
This is for what kind of people?
That are not infinite. In other words, okay? It's like the same idea that you know, like that you know, thinking that, like, you know, that inside the mistake that we ended up making when we had the tabernacle, the Mishkan, is that, you know, like, oh, inside the Mishkan I really got to behave myself well, but outside it's already a different story. Understand? It's like you're in the mindset of time and space. Like, you know, like, okay, right now God is looking at me, but right now not. You know, like I'll go into a bubble, he won't see me, and so it's like thinking about God in the way, in other words, by your own small mind. Like, you know, saying, I don't think about God all the time, so therefore God doesn't think it. I don't look at God all the time. He doesn't look at me all the time. That's very finite relationship, right? באמת, מה היינו עושים אם הקדוש ברוך הוא היה אומר לנו שהוא לא יסתכל עלינו לכמה זמן? Honestly, what would we do if God would say to us that he's not going to look at us for a certain amount of time? Not going to watch what you're doing. What would you do? Would you run out and have pizza with anchovies? No, all dressed. It's not anchovies they put on it, it's something else on, right? Meat, pepperoni. Actually, it's also very interesting, but in all dressed, but I mean, like in a super not kosher, you know.
Yeah. That's the way mice will play.
Right? So what would you do if God would say, I'm not watching you? Right? האם עדיין היינו נשארים יהודים? Would we still be Jewish? Right? And what happened at Purim? What happened the whole time at Purim was that God was totally hidden, right? And what was the biggest miracle was that we said we're still Jewish, even though God is Na'aseh v'nishma in the deepest way, right? With Purim, אנחנו אומרים ריבונו של עולם, on Purim we're telling God, page 202, אפילו אם אתה לא מסתכל עלינו, even if you're not looking at us, אנחנו מסתכלים עליך כל הזמן, we're looking at you all the time. כשאתה אוהב מישהו, when you love someone, אתה לא יכול להפסיק להסתכל עליו, you can't stop looking at them. ואתה גם לא יכול להפסיק לדבר איתו, you can't stop talking to them, or לשיר איתו, or to sing with them. Right? Okay. Listen, Chaver, these are all beautiful words, but unless you sit down and meditate on it and get into that kind of mindset, it's not going to be as effective, and as Zumamish have to really get into that kind of a space. חברים, העולם שלנו צריך פורים דחוף. My friends, the world needs Purim badly. שנלמד איך לא להתפשר עם הרשע, so that we learn how not to compromise with evil. אין לרשע זכות קיום בכלל. Evil really has no right to exist. It only exists like the shadow exists so that you can see the light. הדרך היחידה למחות אותה היא על ידי זה שנהיה אינסופיים. The only way to wipe out evil is that by being infinite, להיות יהודים אינסופיים, to be infinitely Jewish, לאהוב אחד את השני לנצח, to love each other infinitely, eternally, במיוחד בירושלים, עיר הקודש, especially in Yerushalayim. I was here in 1994 on March of the Living with my students, and this Israeli woman that was one of our tour guides, was sitting next to me on the bus, and we were coming up to Yerushalayim, and she says to me, she says, I'm not religious, but every time I come to Yerushalayim, I feel this elevation that something is really different about Yerushalayim. So you heard it, you do it. Okay. Right? So especially in Yerushalayim, in other words, Yerushalayim is like just walking in the streets of Yerushalayim puts this big responsibility on us. Okay? Here, you can come sit over here anyway. Okay, so Yerushalayim hi ha'ir shel ahava ein-sofit. Yerushalayim is the city of infinite love. Shakol ba ein-sofi. Now, if you know the history of Yerushalayim, there were times in history where Yerushalayim was like tragically a big bloodbath. Not just during the Crusades. A century, 2 centuries ago, and so how could Shlomo say that Yerushalayim is a city of infinite love? The fact that there have been so many wars over here, that itself proves that Yerushalayim is so extraordinary, because the forces of evil really want to wipe that out. If it wouldn't be so special, they wouldn't be bothering. Why is the whole world is constantly paying attention to what's going on in Yerushalayim, especially when we're here. Before we came back, there was also stuff going on here. But, because the world knows that this has to be the city of infinite love. Now, you could watch, by the way, Reb Shlomo, there's a recording on YouTube where he was talking just after the Oslo Accords, and as much as he was welcoming to everybody to being here, he was like totally opposed to giving any of it away. Totally. That's, you understand, it's sharing, yes. Giving away, chas v'shalom. Okay, so in other words, it's a city of love. People come here, love them, welcome them, but don't listen to their ideas about you have to give this away, chas v'shalom. So Yerushalayim hi ha'ir shel ahava ein-sofit, shakol ba ein-sofit, ein-sofi, everything in it is infinite. HaTorah shebichtav shenitna b'har Sinai hi sofit. The written Torah is finite in the sense that there's a certain number of words, a certain number of letters, etc. Okay? K'sha'azavnu et har Sinai, asinu et egel hazahav. And when we left Mount Sinai, we ended up making the golden calf.
What are you reading, please?
We're in the third line of the third paragraph.
Of the third?
Page 202. Yeah. The line begins with the word Sinai. Amalek higia ובכלל השתגענו. Amalek came and we went a little bit not so. אבל ירושלים היא אינסופית. But ירושלים is infinite. ארץ ישראל היא אינסופית. כל העולם הוא אינסופי. ירושלים is infinite. Israel is infinite. The whole world is infinite. במיוחד הילדים שלנו הם אינסופיים, and especially our children are ממש infinite. כשהקדוש ברוך הוא הבטיח לאברהם אבינו את ארץ ישראל, when God promised Eretz Israel to Abraham, אברהם אבינו, הוא אמר, ונתתי לך ולזרעך אחריך. I will give it to you and to your children after you. כל הפרשנים שואלים, so all the commentators ask, אם הקדוש ברוך הוא נתן את הארץ לאברהם, God gave the land to Abraham, האם לא ברור שהיא גם לבניו, is it not clear that it is also for his children? אלא התשובה היא, the answer is, שהקדוש ברוך הוא אומר, God is saying, אם אני אתן את זה להורים, הם יגרמו לזה להיות סופי. If I'm going to give it just to the parents, they're going to cause it to be finite. אבל הילדים יכולים להפוך את זה לאינסופי. It's the children that can make it infinite. בדור שלנו במיוחד, כדאי מאוד להקשיב לילדים.
סליחה, I lost you. What is he reading?
Are you on page
202?
202? And you're right here.
The door Shalom.
Yeah. בדור שלנו במיוחד, in our generation specifically, מאוד, כדאי מאוד להקשיב לילדים. It's really worth it to listen to the children. הילדים שלנו מבינים איך כל סנטימטר בארץ ישראל הוא אינסופי. Our children understand how every centimeter of Israel is infinite. You know, people are talking about the hilltop youth. We're not going into whether some of them are not so or not. Some of the people in Knesset are also not so. But the kids of the hilltop youth, they're going out there and living. They're doing what their great-grandparents were doing back in 1900. You understand? Huh?
What do they do?
They're settling the land, you know, and they're saying this is Israel, and the older generation
In the West Bank, you're talking.
in the West Bank, all over the country, okay, and the older generation has sort of become staid, S-T-A-I-D. Is that a correct word? Staid? Yeah. In other words, it means like, oh, we already got what we wanted, you know, so why are you going and fighting for more? Okay? So he's saying the kids are keeping it fresh. Okay? Now keep in mind, you know, like in the 50s and the 60s, in the previous century, right? Like a lot of people thought that, like, you know, like when the 60s came around, like, you know, like, why are our kids running all over the world looking for something? Don't they already have everything that you could possibly want? You know? Could somebody get it? The door. Yeah. No, you know, you got a car, you got a Dairy Queen, you got jazz music. You have jazz music. What else could you want, right? You have the suburbs. Is there anything else? There can't be anything else, right? And all these kids are growing up and they're saying, Mom, Dad, this is not it. We don't feel fulfilled with this, right? So he's saying that you gotta listen to the kids. You gotta realize that the kids are connected to something that, you know, that when you get older, that's a malek. You know, a malek is saying, oh yeah, you know, you have, like, you know, you're really good today, but it's not gonna last, or something like that, right? So he's saying that, you know, like, mamish, you gotta listen to the kids. You gotta listen to the kid inside too. The kid that says, nobody's gonna destroy me. Right? The third last line of that paragraph. Shekol rega ba'eretz Yisrael hu ein sofi. Every moment in Israel is infinite. הכותל המערבי הוא בין החומות הקטנות בעולם. The Kotel HaMaravi is one of the smallest walls in the world. I thought it was bigger than the wall of China. No?
China's bigger.
Slightly.
Are you guys sure? Where do you live? Right?
How are you measuring?
אבל ראיתם פעם חומה שראשה מגיע השמיימה, but did you ever see a wall that reaches all the way up to the sky? שנגיע לעולם האמת that connects with the world of truth, כמו הכותל הקדוש, like the holy wall.
Donald Trump's going to build one of those.
Yeah.
One of the walls for the Beit
You know him?
HaMikdash.
Do you know him? Do you know him?
Donation for the yeshiva.
We need money for the yeshiva.
Oh.
Tell him if he wants to win the election, or whether he wins it or not, he should. Okay? אתם יודעים, אם אתה שומע קריאת התורה ואתה מפספס מילה אחת, now here's another halacha. If you're listening to the Torah reading on Shabbos and you miss a word, אתה לא צריך לחזור ולקרוא שוב. You don't have to read the parasha again. אבל במגילה, but with the מגילה, אפילו אם אתה מפספס רק הברה אחת, if you miss one syllable, אתה צריך לחזור. We're on the top of 2 or 3. Even if you miss one syllable, you have to read the whole Megillah again. Right? If the Megillah was read and a word was mispronounced, you have to really listen carefully to the Megillah. Why is that? כשמדובר באינסופיות, we're on the top of 2 or 3. כשמדובר באינסופיות, where we're talking about something infinite, כל דבר קטן הוא אינסופי. Every little part of it is infinite. ולכן צריך לשמוע את הכל, and therefore you have to hear everything. אם אני קורא מכתב רגיל, if I'm reading a regular letter, אני מרפרף מהר על המכתב, I skim it quickly. ואני יכול להבין מה הם רוצים גם בלי לקרוא כל מילה במילה. And I can understand the gist of the letter without reading every word. אבל כשאני מקבל מכתב אהבה, but when I get a love letter, אני לא רוצה לפספס כלום. I don't want to miss anything. Right? And the Megillah is a love letter. במכתב רגיל אני לא שומע את קולו של הכותב מתוך הטקסט. A regular letter, I don't hear the voice of the one who wrote it from within the words.
What is the word?
A text. It's an English word. אבל אתם יודעים למה שם השם לא מוזכר במגילה, but you know why God's name is not mentioned in the Megillah? כי אני יכול לשמוע מתוך המילים את קולו של הקדוש ברוך הוא, because I can hear from within the words, I can hear God's voice, מספר לי את סיפור המגילה. I can hear God's voice telling me the story of the Megillah. Right? And mamish, like, you know, we should all be blessed to when you're going to hear the Megillah this year, like you should hear God's voice as it's being read. אני יכול לשמוע את קולם של כל היהודים שקוראים את המגילה. I can hear the voice of all the Jews as they're reading the Megillah. וגם את קולם של כל הילדים שמרגישים, and also the voice of all the children who are making noise כששומעים את המילה המן, and they hear the word Haman. You know, in the days of the Maral of Prague, the ruler of Prague put out a decree that the Jews should not bang or make any noise when Haman, when the name Haman is said in the Megillah reading. And he sent soldiers to the synagogue of the Maharal to make sure that anybody that's going to bash on the table or make noise, to arrest them. Everybody's like scared. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? They're about to read the Megillah. Now all of a sudden, this guy, like nobody knew who it was, like dressed from a different century, comes into shul, and they start reading the Megillah. And Haman's name is mentioned, and he starts going bang, 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 and like everybody's like, whoa! So they all joined in, and the soldiers are just standing there. They do nothing. And finally, when the reading is over, that guy disappears. So we wanted to know who that was. And the Maral says that was Mordechai HaYehudi, who came down from heaven and said, nobody's going to tell us not to make noise when we hear Haman. Okay? So he says, but the thing is to hear the voice of Hashem, to hear the voice of the children, to hear the voice in the words as they're being read. כשקוראים את המגילה, אני יכול לראות את הפנים החמודות והעיניים הזוהרות של כל הילדים. When we're reading the Megillah, I can see the beautiful faces and shining eyes of all the children. כשהם נותנים לשלוח מנות איש לרעהו, when they're giving shalach manos one to another. כשאני שומע את המגילה, אני יכול לשמוע את צעדיו של המשיח. When I'm listening to the Megillah, I can hear the footsteps of Mashiach. ואני יכול לשמוע את כל העולם באים לירושלים, and I can hear the whole world coming to Yerushalayim. Right?
How can you hear all these things in the Megillah story?
By being Ein Sofi, by being infinite, right? Having infinite habits as well. Right? כולם יודעים שהמן אמר ליהודים, everybody knows that Haman said to the Jews, נגמרו ה-70 שנה של הגלות, the 70 years of the exile are over, and you haven't gone back to Israel yet. ובוודאי לא תחזרו עוד לירושלים. Right, that was the big mistake that Achashverosh made, right? Is at the very beginning of the Megillah, there's a verse that we read with instead of the music of the Megillah, we read it with the music of Eicha from Tisha B'Av, right? And those words are V'chelim, Kelim Shonim, and because that's referring to what Achashverosh did was he had possession of the robes of the high priest, which, by the way, was
From Jerusalem. Jerusalem.
Yeah, where else?
From Shushan.
The high priest, our kind of, and when he made his big party, he came out dressed in those robes, and his claim was that the prophecy was that we were supposed to come back to Yerushalayim after 70 years after the destruction. And the way he was calculating it was that in his calculation, the 70 years had ended and we hadn't gone back. So he says, that's it, your history is over. Interestingly, Jewish academia, after the Holocaust, Jewish academics were writing articles about how the Hasidic era was over. They were saying that the Baal Shem Tov and everything from the Baal Shem Tov ended with the Holocaust. See how much academics know, right? In other words, because if you're thinking from a worldly mind, what they were saying made sense. But that's not what the reality is. אבל האמת היא, the truth is, שהוא טעה, he made a mistake. כי הוא היה אמור לספור את השנים מחורבן הבית ולא מהשנה שהגדו את צדקיהו. Because he was supposed to really calculate the 70 years from the time that the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, not from the time that the exile began. ועוד יבוא יום אחד שבו, and there will come a day, ויתאיו כל לעבדיך, everybody will come to serve you. ויברכו שם כבודך, everybody will bless your glorious name. ויתנו לך כתר מלוכה, everybody will return to you the crown of glory. So Reb Shlomo explains, so what was the big, the Gemara says, what was the big sin that we did that brought about Haman's decree? It was that we went to Achashverosh's party. Now, he was showing off and he was putting out the vessels that he had from the Beit HaMikdash. Now he says like this, Reb Shlomo said, imagine, chas v'sholom, somebody comes and takes your father's house and kicks your family out and then makes a party to celebrate his victory, and he invites you to the party. How could you possibly go? You're even going to enjoy it too, right? You're going to eat there. Yeah, Achashverosh served, kosher food for the Jews, right? How could you go? How could you do that, right? So it was necessary to have Haman's decree to bring us back to our senses, to realize this is not the way reality is meant to be, right? That we have to be infinite, we can't be finite. So that's the whole Indian, and so if you remember at the very beginning of this lesson, one of the first things that Reb Shlomo said is that if you try to if you're being superficial, you don't get Purim. Purim is right. It's the deepest, and stop trying to be superficial, right? So, please, on behalf of the yeshiva, please give me a blessing that I should be blessed to say good things. I'm leaving for 10 days after Shabbos to do a couple of events on behalf of the yeshiva. So bless me that I should be able to give over the teachings properly and to say the right things for the sake of the yeshiva. And you have the page over here. We're asking everybody to put your cell phone number down on it so that a day or so before our return, we'll send you a text message to remind you to be back here on March the 3rd. Okay?
Amen.
Yeah. And we ended up deciding that we're not going to do Sudah Shlishit this Shabbos because I'm leaving them also Shabbos, and it's just, I've been under the weather for a good week now, so I just need to recuperate before my trip, okay? Yeah, amen. Okay, so the mitzvah.
Yeah.
So Mamish Chavre, take this lesson and live it, even if it's one sentence from what we learned today, right? Even if it's one sentence, one paragraph, it's just awesome. And did you notice, those of you who were here from the beginning of it, as we went through these 5 days, things that didn't make any sense to you when we first started it, right? She's shaking her head, right? You notice?
Yes.
Things that's like, what's he saying? Doesn't make sense, right? But you got into it, you began to realize, ooh, yeah, and you see more and more of it, Okay, have a good Shabbos, and have a good Purim Katan. Monday night is Purim Katan, and
Is there any special custom?